Shocking video out of Florida. It's an illegal immigrant from India slamming into a minivan while making a wild U-turn in the middle of a freeway using his 18-wheeler. The collision ended up killing 3 people and the man at the wheel. Harjinder Singh is facing charges of vehicular homicide. Now we're learning he failed both English and road sign tests. Apparently he was only able to correctly answer 2 out of 12 questions on English and only 1 out of 4 questions in passing reading highway signs. So how did a guy like that get a commercial's driver's license in California and Washington State? Well, it turns out the California-based company who hired Singh is now under investigation by federal authorities. The even bigger question, who is on our roads? This is a story that we have been covering here on The Will Cain Show for months.
Where this current nightmare on our roads and chaos in our industry really took to a whole other level is when the American Trucking Association advised our federal government that it was okay to give non-domiciled CDLs to unvetted non-citizens from all over the third world, many of which cannot read, speak, or understand English. What we've seen is a drastic increase in fatality and injury accidents by a group of trucking operators from foreign lands that have no regard for our regulation.
That was an ominous warning. An alarm bell set off on April 4th. Coincidentally, I was wearing the same tie. But sadly, that story now, we can see, has already forced Americans to pay the price on our highways.
My name is Harvey Beech. I am the owner of Everyone On Time Safely. My family has been in the American trucking industry for 43 years, and I consider myself a son of the American trucking industry. My 4 children working alongside me and my team are all third-generation American truckers. My purpose for joining American Truckers United is to hopefully inform the public of the dire degradation of the safety standards that have taken place in the trucking industry over the last several years. This degradation has been to the unprecedented influx of untrained and unvetted foreign drivers that are in our country operating commercial vehicles on foreign driver's licenses. I recently met with the colonel of the Arkansas State Police, and he told us that law enforcement agencies in our country have no way to even verify if a foreign driver's license is real or not, leaving law enforcement unable to verify the identity, driving record, or criminal record of a foreign driver. Prior to June of 2016, for many years, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulation 391.11b2 required that all drivers operating commercial vehicles in America be required to read and speak English. This regulation was put into place because drivers unable to read our road signs, like right lane ends in 1,000 feet, bridge may ice in cold weather, accident ahead, proceed with caution, pose a serious risk to the safety of the American public on our roadways. This regulation was enforced by immediately putting those drivers unable to read English out of service. Immediate out of service penalties are only reserved for the worst violations that are considered to be putting the surrounding public at an imminent risk. Somehow, an unelected FMCSA official in 2016 issued an internal memo to the entire FMCSA staff stating that Regulation 391.11b2 would no longer be an out-of-service violation, and that drivers that could not read or speak English would be allowed to continue to drive with no violation, as long as they could communicate with the inspecting officer using Google Translate or other translator apps that can be downloaded on smartphones. I would humbly submit that being able to read our road signs and being able to read our temporary warning signs is the main concern of Regulation 39111B2, and that communication with the inspecting officer has little to do with the imminent risk posed by a commercial driver that cannot read our road signs and/or our temporary warning signs. In addition to what I've already mentioned, there are U.S. domiciled trucking companies owned by people from Russia, Eastern Europe, India, and Somalia, all importing drivers from their home countries that have not gone through the proper American CDL holder vetting system. Our law enforcement also has no way of verifying any of these drivers' records from their home countries. We have no idea if these drivers have had fatality accidents, serious moving violations, or even multiple DWIs while operating commercial or personal vehicles in their home countries. Many of these foreign operators are actively breaking the hours of service laws, forcing their immigrant drivers to drive fatigued while operating unsafe and ill-maintained equipment that would have no chance of passing a DOT inspection. These improperly trained immigrant drivers on average are being paid less than half of what the American truck driver is being paid today. These are the same operators that are responsible for the rise in freight theft and insurance fraud that has plagued our industry in recent years. These foreign-owned operators are acting with such impunity, they will tell a prospective driver on a recruiting call, "You will run 5,000 miles per week as a solo working here." We all know 5,000 miles per week is completely impossible when adhering to the hours of service regulations designed to keep fatigued drivers off of our roadways. I believe all of these problems signal a gross lack of presence from our regulatory governing bodies, the FMCSA and the DOT. The American trucking industry that I have grown up in has been a good steward of our roadways, and the American truck driver community was at one time considered to be the knights of the road. The American CDL vetting system and the last 30 years of regulations imposed upon our industry have made American truckers safer than ever before. And it grieves me deeply to see the last 30 years of regulations and safety improvements made being undone right before my eyes in what I consider to be a very irresponsible manner. Our team has researched thousands of accidents where innocent Americans have been hurt or killed by untrained, unvetted, and unsafe foreign drivers, many of which did not have any kind of driver's license on their person. None of these drivers should have ever been allowed to be on our roadways, putting Americans at risk, and that is why I am here today.
Mr. Beech, if you will introduce yourself, you may proceed.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for the committee. My name's Harvey Beech. I'm one of the co-founders of American Truckers United, and my family has also been in the trucking business in Arkansas for 43 years. I'm here today to speak against House Bill 1745 because in essence, it does nothing to improve the current problem, and I want to explain that to you all. The bill requires a certain group of drivers to possess an employment authorization form, or what is referred to an EAD, or an employment authorization document. That document is the very seed and door where non-citizens are able to go into certain states, we'll call them sanctuary states, claim asylum, and they are given an EAD form or an EAD card. That very document that is required in Bill 1745 is what is used by those folks to go obtain what is called a non-domiciled CDL, and they're able to get it whether they can read or speak English or not. So the majority of the unvetted, and you know, the lack of vetting, a non-domiciled CDL cannot be used to board an airplane in our country. And I think that speaks very loudly to the amount or lack thereof of vetting that these folks are getting to go get these licenses. My current Vice President of Safety, Chuck Reimer, who is here today and is prepared to testify, has served in the Arkansas trucking community since 1988 and was actually our Arkansas Trucking Association Safety Director of the Year back in '91 when I was still just a little boy in school. He has worked for a carrier based in the United States that was employing a lot of drivers from south of our border on B-1 tourist visas, and he has processed thousands of B-1 driver applications, thousands. And he will testify to you all today that he never saw a single moving violation, not one, not a stop sign, not a speeding ticket, not a DWI, nothing. How can that be? How can we trust the countries of origin where these people come from when one of our most well-respected safety professionals in the industry in this state is going to tell us all today that he has never seen a single moving violation on any of the records obtained from the country of origin of those drivers? And I would humbly submit to everyone today, before we have a wreck in Arkansas like what happened in Austin, Texas just last week, where a non-citizen with a visa, more than likely it's not confirmed, but more than likely a non-domiciled CDL,
Mr. Beech, you need to wrap it up.
plowed into stalled traffic going 80 miles an hour, killing 5 people. I can only wonder how many warning signs that he blew by before he made impact. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. We're up here at the Capitol today, standing together for Arkansas truck drivers like this one right here, Bill Puckett Jr., and this one right here, Lonnie Smith. We're up here today encouraging our lawmakers to vote no for 1745. Hey out there, all you American truckers. Harvey Beech, co-founder of American Truckers United. We're in Louisville at the Mid-America Trucking Show, and we just wanted to stop in front of this beautiful truck right here. If you wanted to see the picture embodiment of the spirit of the people at American Truckers United, this is an accurate representation. And we're thankful for OIDA, their testimony today. We're thankful for the groundbreaking progress that was made today in Washington to move us back toward American safety standards in our industry and to restore the rightful wages of our hardworking American truck drivers. Y'all come see us at the truck show. We look forward to talking to everybody. All drivers should be able to read and understand English. If you're going to operate a big truck in this country, you must understand our road signs. All truck drivers in America should be required to read and understand English. If you agree, please come over here and support us. The FMCSA, under the advisement of the American Trucking Association, flooded the long haul market with people from all over the third world. They don't know who they are. All truck drivers in America should be able to read and understand English. I agree with that. Well, we need your support. Come on, young man, sign up.
We need 50,000 signatures.
We're not going to do
Go
nothing
see.
with your information other than shake it in the face of a man when we go to Washington.
We're
All
taking it to
truck
DC.
drivers in America should be able to read and understand English. We need your support.
US CDLs
We're trying to get the feds to enforce English proficiency again. We're trying to protect American truck driver wages. We don't do nothing but just bind together in spirit. Y'all just say a prayer for us. We're going to keep fighting until we get something done. Hey y'all, we believe that every truck driver in America needs to be able to read and understand English. I agree with that. Well then please follow us on social media. We're American Truckers United. We're raising hell at the feds right now. If you don't do nothing but say a prayer for us, we need your support. Thank you.
Hey there, how are you?
Have you seen our booth already?
All right.
I heard you talking about
Okay. Well, man, we need your support.
Absolutely.
We're trying to get everybody's wages right back where they need to be, and we're trying to get our roads safer like they used to be. Hey guys, I'm with American Truckers United. We believe that all truck drivers in this country should be made to read and speak English. If you believe that, take one of our flyers. We're fighting for American truck driver wages that have been robbed and stolen by the foreign hordes from the third world. Hey man, I'm with American Truckers United. You ain't got to drop your beer. I believe that all truck drivers in America should read and understand English.
Yes, they should.
Okay, well, y'all take one of our flyers. All truck drivers in this country should be able to read and understand our road signs.
I'm from Arkansas, and I
Okay, me
with them
too.
on that.
Well, we are Arkansas.
see you?
We're the people that's been raising hell in Arkansas. We're trying to get the bill passed.
They're not going to do it.
Well, we're not going to quit fighting.
Department of Transportation, I know y'all are aware our pilots are required to read and speak English. Our truck drivers are required to read and speak English. Can you comment on why the FMCSA is not enforcing the out-of-service violation of truck drivers who cannot read and speak English?
Here, here.
Amen.
I think in the future there will be a lot more attention to this. I will say that we do enforce that regulation. It's enforced.
You don't put them out of service anymore.
So that's not an FMCSA though. That's CVSA.
Yes, it is.
No, it's FMCSA.
And I think you can expect. I think the partnerships are really critical, and I think this issue is absolutely a live issue and will be addressed in the near future.
What about non-domiciled CDLs given out to asylum seekers that are unvetted?
So yeah, also another live issue. But that doesn't mean, so that's at a state level, but I would say that they're probably not unvetted if I was to correct that.
No, they're unvetted.
Of your question.
Since we're talking about technology, what are you guys doing to combat companies that have their dispatchers in foreign countries that are regularly tampering with our federal electronic logbooks for their drivers here on our homeland?
So if you're talking about what do we do about foreign entities entering our system, this identity proofing will stop that.
I'm talking about how they tamper with electronic logbooks and reset the logs for their drivers, forcing them to drive fatigued. How can we stop that?
He's more talking about the level 8 inspection.
Yeah.
That's in process now.
Right, so
That's being tested.
See, even tech is a complicated / complex question, right? ELDs in a truck, they interact with the carrier operations, and if they're connected at their side, FMCSA there's no middleman for FMCSA in that regard, right? We don't get to see any of that traffic that comes in, and if I don't get to see the traffic, I can't do much from a technical perspective on their side, unless, because that's a carrier operations question. We don't get to see any of them.
You guys are the regulating authority on electronic logbooks.
True, and I think based on that, we have put out, if I recall, we did bar some of the ELD devices from the authorized list a few months ago. But it's a very case-by-case basis, right? We have to know, we have to investigate, we have to do it. There's nothing proactive we can do about it because we just are not plugged into that network.
I didn't hear the question, sorry.
Are you able to confirm if all of the non-domiciled CDL holders and all of the foreign drivers in our country operating on foreign driver's licenses are part of the drug testing clearinghouse?
Sure. The drivers subject to the clearinghouse are, so they get reported, Canadian, U.S., and Mexican drivers all get reported into the clearinghouse, yes.
So Canadian and U.S. and Mexican drivers are all reported in the clearing. So non-domiciled CDL holders in our country are part of the drug testing clearinghouse.
Canadian, U.S., and Mexican drivers are all subject to the clearinghouse.
What about all of the people from Eastern Europe and India and African countries that have claimed asylum, that have been given non-domiciled CDLs? Are they part of the drug testing clearinghouse?
I'm not familiar with non-domiciled CDLs, but I'd be happy to look into that and get back to you.
Thank you for your answer.
American Truckers United, ATU out of Arkansas. This is Harvey Beech. Tell them about it.
Hey everybody, American Truckers United. We're in Little Rock, Arkansas. We're founded by a couple old country trucking people. I've been trucking my whole life. My family's been in it for 43 years. We're fighting for American truck drivers. We represent American truck drivers, not trucking companies, not large corporate interests with private fleets. We are fighting to get the feds to enforce English proficiency. We're trying to get this bill passed in Arkansas. We need everybody's support. You know, I know my whole career there's been a lot of talk about how American truckers you need to unite. We need to stop the trucks for 3 days and all of those things. And there is no voice out here for American truck drivers, and that is what we are going to serve. We are going to scream from the rooftop until we either win this fight or die. There's nothing in the middle.
And you guys are doing it. You guys are putting their money where their mouth is. Literally, these guys are first Arkansas, but we got to do this nationwide.
We got to do this nationwide. The battle is not over in Arkansas. We are still going up against the Arkansas Trucking Association that is frantically trying to intimidate any politician they can to withdraw support from our bill. They don't want our bill to go to committee to get a public eye. They don't want to be on record, which surprisingly, they came out on record against our bill. And their comment was that they work on meaningful issues. They work on meaningful issues, which means the issues that we are addressing must not be meaningful to them. I don't understand it, but we need everybody's support. Everybody, please, we need your help. If you don't do anything but say a prayer for us as we fight against the evil in large corporations and old, stale politics. On behalf of Americans, working class Americans that have been in the trucking industry for decades, our way of life is being taken from us. And we need macro regulatory intervention. Yeah, look at Bonehead Truckers right here, everybody.
What's up, everyone?
That's right. We're up here raising hell at the Mid-America Truck Show, fighting for these American truck drivers.
Look out, FMCSA.
That's right.
Good job.
That's right. Hey, we were raising hell in their meeting earlier today.
Man, I missed it.
We got a video of it.
Good.
So we're still here at Matt's. We're still fighting for American driver wages. We're still fighting for English proficiency. We're on our way to see our good friend, Mother Trucker. And look at some of these booths. We've had nothing but overwhelming support from almost every American that we've talked to this week. Shannon's back there somewhere on his phone. We peppered the FMCSA yesterday, and we went in there again this morning and peppered their ass again. We're going to hold our government officials accountable. We're going to restore American safety standards to our roadways, and we're going to restore the rightful wage of the American long-haul truck driver. Kids coming home. Mountains were moved up here this week. We were the literal biggest conversation of this entire place. The FMCSA has been texting Shannon this morning, pretty much begging us to back up. They have promised us this is their number one priority, and we're going to hold them to it. Hopefully rates are going to return. This was the only way out, and that's why I've done this so much, is because I'm fighting for all of us. I don't know what else to do. I love y'all very much. We're on the way home in the morning. I have been around American truck drivers all my life. My mom and dad's drivers carried me in diapers. They taught me how to drive a vehicle. They have fed my family for 3 generations. For the last several years, I have witnessed the American truck driver community's wages being stolen from them through wage dumping via replacement migration. If our industry had not been invaded by the rapid influx of foreign, unvetted trucking capacity in the last several years, over-the-road company drivers today would be making between $100,000 and $120,000 a year. But because of this wage dumping through replacement migration, the average American company driver still is only making around $60,000 a year. And with the past 3 years of hyperinflation on most of the essentials that families must buy today, I would submit that American truck drivers have actually suffered a net wage decrease.
My name's Harvey Beech. I'm one of the co-founders of American Truckers United. My family's been in the trucking business for 43 years. Truck drivers have been a part of my life all the way back to my diapers. Trucking office workers have been a part of my life all the way back to my diapers. Today, my company, Everyone on Time Safely, we have 300 power units, and we've got 4 kids right out here on this floor. So the third generation, they're getting a really, really good lesson in grit and character as we all try to navigate these unprecedented times together. The problem is, for most of my career, over-the-road truck drivers have not been paid enough. And their quality of life, it's just the sacrifices that they know they're making. Nobody likes being gone from home. Nobody likes taking showers where a bunch of other people's feet have been in the last 24 hours. They're cooped up in a truck that's about the size of a prison cell with all of their stuff. And so you know, we know the health problems that are caused by sitting continually, being on the road, and you know, you really got to be disciplined if you want to try to eat right on the road, and it's hard for us all to have that kind of discipline. Truck drivers out there on the road gone from home, and the truck drivers are closer to a pilot. They're much higher regulated. They're out here on the roads operating in the middle of the innocent public with their lives in their hands, right? So they're even held to a higher standard on the job, which in my opinion should demand a higher pay than someone that does not have the lifestyle that goes along with being gone all the time. And they're not so regulated and have folks' lives in their hands. Most of my career, I have watched journeymen diesel mechanics. And when I say journeyman, I'm talking 8 to 10 years of experience. You've put yours in and you've done a good job and you've developed your craft and your work history is good. And the journeyman electricians, plumbers, HVAC people, and even dealership mechanics, you know, the journeyman, they're making more than the long haul over the road journeyman truck driver.
If you'll identify yourself for the record.
Yes, sir. I'm Harvey Beech. I'm one of the co-founders of American Truckers United, and my family has been in the trucking business in Arkansas for 43 years. I'm going to really quickly try to give you guys some facts and then also speak to the enforcement language that was in 1745. Some facts. The American Trucking Association advised our federal government that it was okay to give non-citizens what's called a non-domiciled CDL. And it's important to note that a non-domiciled CDL cannot even be used to board an airplane in our country. The Biden administration, with their open borders policy and under the advisement of the American Trucking Association, created the Biden Trucking Action Plan in 2021. And the results of that plan flooded hundreds of thousands of unvetted non-citizens into the long-haul trucking segment. The majority of these folks cannot read, speak, or understand English. And again, I would like to point out a non-domiciled CDL cannot be used to board an airplane in our country. The American Trucking Association and the Arkansas Trucking Association endorsed the Biden Trucking Action Plan. Since that plan has been put in place, there has been an effort by the American Trucking Association to pass bills in as many states as possible that allow for non-domiciled CDLs and even non-domiciled learners permits, which was in the original draft of House Bill 1745. I want to talk about the enforcement language. The employment authorization document, which I realize they just amended the bill. Most, if not all, of these folks that possess non-domiciled CDLs already have that document. So requiring that does nothing to help.
I apologize, Mr. Beech, your time is up, but okay. I think there will be some questions from the committee.
I'm against 1745 because it does nothing to fix our problems on our roadways.
Okay, what on House Bill 1745 are you against, Mr. Beech, or your association?
The lack of taking drivers off of our roads that cannot read and understand our road signs and our temporary warning signs. There's been a drastic increase in fatality and injury accidents caused by big trucks, and we believe this is one of the root causes for it, sir.
Okay, questions? Yeah. Senator Rice?
And what you're saying is what it looks like in this bill is requiring some documentation that's not required now, makes it look like they're doing something that they're really not. Is that what
the most recent amendment? They took out the employment authorization document.
Is your microphone on?
I'm sorry, I'm back away from it.
Yes.
The most recent amendment, I believe they removed the employment authorization document language because that's the very document that has been given to asylum seekers that they use to go get the non-domiciled CDL. So all of these people on our roads in big trucks that can't read and understand our road signs and temporary warning signs, they already have that document, sir.
Okay, well, I would agree with you. I don't come into contact with that many, but I've come into contact with ones that can't understand English good enough to have a conversation that's delivered to me, and I've seen some of the things on the road. So, Mr. Chair, I hope the sponsors can answer some of the concerns of this, because I don't want to do harm that's already been being done.
Other questions from committee? Again, let me be sure I understand, Mr. Beech. You're against the bill.
Yes, sir.
Not because of anything that's in it, but because of what's not in it. And if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong.
No, this bill has been put out in opposition to HB 1569 that we are trying to get passed. I would also like to point out that we have been told from high-level law enforcement officials in our own state that our state and local law enforcement folks out there on the street, they have no way to tell if a Mexican CDL is real or not. That's quote unquote. So how are we going to force fake Mexican CDLs if our folks out there doing the job have no way of telling if it's real or not?
There is a competing bill.
HB 1569, we've been trying to get it before committee in the House for a while, but we keep getting stalled.
At this point, I'm wondering if that's going to happen. But it's in transportation in the House?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions from committee? All right, thank you, Mr. Beech.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Next.
All right, everybody. We're over here in Oklahoma today, where a version of our bill that we tried to push through Arkansas that got withdrawn under questionable circumstances. The bill just made it out of House committee, so it will go on the floor at some point, hopefully next week over here in Oklahoma. The battle is still on. The fight is not over. We're not going to stop until we get total vindication for American truck drivers
and good, safe, legacy American trucking companies.
Start with what's happened to your industry over the last several years. It looks like you had two things happen at the same time. A lowering of standards, including, shockingly somehow, no English proficiency to get on American roads, and simultaneously an influx of new drivers, Harvey.
Yes, sir, that's correct, Will. Thank you so much for having us on today. We have tried to get this message out over the last several months, so we really appreciate you having us on here today. But where this current nightmare on our roads and chaos in our industry really took to a whole other level is when the American Trucking Association advised our federal government that it was okay to give non-domiciled CDLs to unvetted non-citizens from all over the third world, many of which cannot read, speak, or understand English, and many of which came from countries where, you know, they had never drove a car. And they were brought over here and ill-trained and thrown into these big rigs and turned loose on our roadways.
And as far as the industry is concerned, I know you guys believe this to be true. There's two ecosystems within the trucking industry. There's American-made, American truck drivers. You get $75,000 on average in salary and benefits, health care, Social Security. And drivers have somewhere to go home to after they do their long-haul runs. Foreign-made, on the other hand, is foreign-born drivers, some illegal. Over 50% don't speak English. Many live in their trucks, so there's no need for benefits, health care, lower standard and cost of living. Help me understand this English proficiency issue here, Harvey. It just seems totally counterintuitive. Like, why would we be putting commercial driver's license, driving these massive machines on our highway if they can't read the road signs?
Yes, sir. And you know, that is something that to date, no one can argue that it is a major safety hazard if we have someone in a commercial vehicle that cannot read right lane ends 1,000 feet, bridge may ice in cold weather. Recently in Austin, Texas, the gentleman that drove into a work zone with completely stalled traffic, you know, you can only wonder how many warning signs did he go by? So the results that have been caused by this Biden trucking action plan that flooded so many of these unvetted folks into our industry, and Will, a non-domiciled CDL, the lack of vetting is so atrocious in that process that a non-domiciled CDL cannot be used to board an airplane in our country. And what we've seen in the industry is we've seen, like you mentioned, the two ecosystems. We've seen our American legacy carriers. We're safer than we've ever been before. We're running one e-log book. Our drivers are part of a drug testing clearinghouse today. We've invested in the safety mitigation technologies on the front and the sides of our trucks. We have cameras that allow us to coach our drivers in real time today. But what we've seen is a drastic increase in fatality and injury accidents by a group of trucking operators from foreign lands that have no regard for our regulation. And we have people in foreign countries regularly tampering with electronic logbooks for their drivers in our homeland, forcing them to drive fatigue. So the accidents and the fatalities, they've just reached a level that we've never seen before.
Shocking video out of Florida. It's an illegal immigrant from India slamming into a minivan while making a wild U-turn in the middle of a freeway using his 18-wheeler. The collision ended up killing 3 people, and the man at the wheel, Harjinder Singh, is facing charges of vehicular homicide. Now we're learning he failed both English and roadside tests. Apparently, he was only able to correctly answer 2 out of 12 questions on English and only 1 out of 4 questions in passing reading highway signs. So how did a guy like that get a commercial's driver's license in California and Washington State? Well, it turns out the California-based company who hired Singh is now under investigation by federal authorities. The even bigger question, who is on our roads This is a story that we have been covering here on The Will Cain Show for months.
Where this current nightmare on our roads and chaos in our industry really took to a whole other level is when the American Trucking Association advised our federal government that it was okay to give non-domiciled CDLs to unvetted non-citizens from all over the third world, many of which cannot read, speak, or understand English. What we've seen is a drastic increase in fatality and injury accidents by a group of trucking operators from foreign lands that have no regard for our regulation.
That was an ominous warning. An alarm bell set off on April 4th. Coincidentally, I was wearing the same tie. But sadly, that story now, we can see, has already forced Americans to pay the price on our highways.